Welcome to 10-Minute Ielts. Today, we'll be talking about speaking, specifically how to overcome nervousness. Now, this is completely natural in any interview or speaking exam because we are being assessed as we talk. To further learn more about how we can overcome nervousness, let's take a look at the criteria before we move on to the technique. The first criteria of the Ielts speaking test is fluency, which determines how little ums and dead air you have in the speaking exam. If you have a lot of then that would be a failing grade in fluency. Whereas if you do not talk for at least 5 seconds, no talking for 5 seconds or more, then that would be an awkward pause. For example, if you were asked, "Tell me about yourself," then that would be considered dead air since you did not talk for 5 seconds. Notice how awkward that was and how weird it felt to have no one talking for 5 seconds straight. That's why it's important in terms of fluency to always be talking, but not necessarily all the time, just so that there is no awkward pause for 5 seconds. The next criteria is pronunciation. This simply means correct diction, volume, and tone. Take note that if you are mispronouncing a word, that is a penalty, as well as if you are speaking too softly, then there will be deductions as well. For example, if you are asked, "What's your favorite hobby?" and the reply is, "My favorite hobby happens to be cooking because I really love eating delicious food," then that's considered mumbling or inaudible voice, which would be a penalty in pronunciation. Tone also applies. Make sure to speak in a natural tone. You are not allowed to use memorized or scripted words. And if you are asked, "What do you love to do?" then the tone to say, "Well, I enjoy playing basketball because basketball is my favorite hobby. I love playing it with my friends and my family. Is actually inappropriate. The proper tone would be, "I love basketball. I really enjoy playing it with my friends and my family." So a little bit of life would help in the exam. The next criteria in IELTS speaking would be vocabulary, which means proper usage as well as avoiding redundancies or overusing the same words again and again. Grammar is simply about accuracy, and the rest is history. So remember that when you talk about IELTS speaking, the only things they will check are how fluid, how good your pronunciation is, your lexical resource, and the structure of your language. Now, as we move on, I want you to take note that it does not state here in the criteria that you need to give a correct answer. I repeat, there is no right or wrong answer in speaking. And the answer always depends on the person being asked. That's why it's important to really remember that we don't need to think so hard about what to say, and most especially how impressive or how deep the answer should be. Anything will do, anything goes, so long as you are opening your mouth and talking. Now let's move on to the questions in the speaking test and see how we can use PIS in that type of exam. Part 1 has to do with personal questions. And in part 1, you'll be asked questions such as, "Tell me about yourself." "What is your family like?" "What do you like?" Or maybe, "What is your favorite song?" would be an appropriate question too. In short, anything under the sun that is about you may be asked in the actual test, which is why there is no right or wrong answer, because it all depends on you. And who better to know the answer to these questions than you yourself? Let's go over the first question. Tell me about yourself. Now, a lot of people wonder and stress about the particular things they should say to describe themselves when, again, I repeat, there is no right or wrong answer. If you want to overcome anxiety and nervousness, keep in mind that you are overthinking or complicating the question if you are thinking of a correct answer. Instead, just pause. Maybe you want to say, that's a difficult question to answer right away. I need a moment to think about it. Once you've asked for a bit of time to think, which is perfectly allowed so long as it's not more than 5 seconds, you may move on to the I. Remember how I said there's no wrong answer? In that case, you are completely free to say, I don't know. This is perfectly allowed. This is an appropriate answer. What's important is you will be talking. Just remember that as you talk, you should speak slowly to save, or rather to waste enough time. Because one thing that you should take note in part 1 is that each answer should be at least 30 seconds long. They will be checking your ability to elaborate, which will affect your fluency. If you give one-word answers, such as tell me about yourself, I'm good. What's your family like? Nice. What's your favorite song? Mary Had a Little Lamb. And that's the end of the test. That was really fast. Amazing. No, that won't be the case. Instead, the examiner will simply ask you to elaborate further until you have spoken for at least 30 seconds, because this test is checking if you are able to fluidly elaborate and express yourself in English. So when asked, tell me about yourself, you could say, well, that's a difficult question to answer right away. I need a moment to think about it. After thinking about it, the truth is, I don't know. I've never really thought about describing myself to other people, and it's especially difficult for me to come up with the right words when I'm not sure how to even introduce myself to a complete stranger. I could give you my name, but that's something you probably already know based on my credentials and the information I've given in the form. And that's already more than 30 seconds. That's a perfectly valid answer. What is not a valid answer is, tell me about yourself. I am, and that is a failing grade in fluency already because of overthinking the correct answer and being overcome with nervousness. A lot of ums and dead air become inevitable, which leads to a failing grade in fluency. So remember not to overthink and to just simply ask for time if you need it. Let's try it with the next question. What is your family like? Now remember that we don't have to answer right away. That's a common mistake most students make. Instead, what we can do is pause or ask for time by saying, I've never had to describe my family before. I would like some time to answer that. Then go ahead and think. Then if you can't think of anything to say, you may say, I don't know. Otherwise, if you can think of something to say, then you might as well say whatever it is you came up with, because you can give whatever answer you like. In fact, all answers are appropriate. Just avoid ums and dead air. So you could say, well, it's really nothing out of the ordinary. I have a completely normal family, and I think it's just like any other family out there. There's nothing spectacular, really. I have a mom, a dad, I have 2 sisters, and a younger brother, and that's really all I can say about my family. And that would be good enough. Just don't say short answers like, describe your family. My family's nice. The end. Oh, come on. How will you be able to show off your level of English if you are not able to elaborate or explain whether you're not able to say much about your family or not? For the last question, what is your favorite song? Remember that you don't have to give just one answer even, because there is no mention in the criteria that there should be just one answer. You could even say, favorite song? I'm not so sure. There are so many. I like to listen to a mix of jazz, rock, or you could even say, the truth is, I don't listen to music. I tend to watch movies, and I don't think background music counts as a song. There aren't really a lot of lyrics in them, and so I suppose I don't really have a song I could name as a favorite one, which is perfectly valid again. I hope with this you've now understood the importance of PIS, which is to pause, say I don't know if that is the case, and then to speak slowly to relax with your answer. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and to click on the description in the link below for online coaching. Because the only way you can truly overcome nervousness is by practicing, and I hope you'll be able to practice this technique in a speaking exam. Good luck, and I hope you'll be able to use this in your review.